So we're now going to take a little tour of the Mohawk Brewery. Post-Prohibition, this was the Cliffside Brewery. You actually see what's left of 3 different generations of this building. Over here to the left, where we see what's basically a vacant lot today, that was the oldest part of the brewery. That got demolished in 2009 because it was starting to fall down from a long period of neglect. This center part, the most ornate part of the building, this was added in 1887, as it says on the front of it. You see at the top of it, the brewer's Star of Beer Purity, a thing that looks like a Star of David up there, is actually a symbol of beer purity. Over this garage door that used to be the front door of this building, you see these 2 cherubs that are toasting. They each have a beer glass in their hand and beer's overflowing out of it. That's 3 beer kegs between them. Right here's a truck. So the beer is flowing out of their glasses. You got those 3 beer kegs between it. You've got like a mash turn over there for stirring your mash. And you've got what would have been either probably a malt or a hop shovel over there to the side. So this is an indication of what's going on inside of this brewery. This was common in this brewery architecture in the late 1800s. Now, the people who own this building used to live next door to it in a house that is not here anymore. Post-Prohibition, this brewery reopened. They actually got busted during Prohibition and had to shut down in 1925 actually. After that, it reopened, it sold, and it opened as a Cliffside Brewery post-Prohibition. Cliffside's big beer was Felsenbrau, and Felsenbrau roughly translates to brewed in the hills. So this was paying tribute to the old traditions of the lagering cellars, like they had here at Cliffside and Jackson just down the street from us. So let's take a little walk inside this place. These doors, by the way, are not just magically open. I have unlocked both of them in advance because it's pretty boring watching me stumble around for keys. So this space that we're standing in, what they've done to this right now is build out for what was anticipated to be, and it's my understanding still is, anticipated to be a modern tap room for a smaller scale brewery that's planning to go in here. Now that started, there were some construction delays, and I don't know what the current status of it is. But this building is the one that has the most intact interior features in it of all of the brewery buildings that we have left here in Cincinnati. One of the first things you see, and we'll see this as a better example as we go up, but these beer barrel posts, these go all the way up through the building, and originally this staircase would have been completely open all the way to the top. There's a lot of subdivision in this because this space was used for apartments for a very long period of time. Not really legal apartments, but really cool apartments. Here we are looking down in what should be the tap space. As planned, this would be the tap room serving space for Rebel Metal Brewery. So here against the wall, we see some pictures of this brewery, the Mohawk Brewery, in the 19th century. And there's the house that used to be beside it before it was torn down post-Prohibition and became part of the new Cliffside Brewery. That building that was torn down is up there in that top picture. Over here, we can see the original architectural drawing for the Cliffside Brewery. And you actually see from this drawing, a little gnarly as it has gotten over here, you can see from this drawing the full layout of this brewery from top to bottom. So right now we are standing right about here, and you know that in part because you can see this circle in the floor, and this circle is actually where this tank in this drawing was. Maybe that tank right there. Hard for me to see out of this camera, man. So this drawing, you kind of get a good sense of the layout of how this building went. It was open up here at the top. When I walk people through here, I will always say this thing up here at the top, this square, was open. It was an observation platform so that you could see down here. And there was also light wells that went all the way from the top of this building all the way down through the bottom. All these drywall walls that were not here, and this was very open space. Now when I give in-person tours, I tell people what that is. And I always tell them that when we get to the top, you're going to see that same platform up there, and it's been raised a little bit up there. Kind of looks like a boxing ring these days. And as I stand here, I say that it's not a boxing ring. That is the observation area that I pointed out the floor and 3 minutes earlier. And when I get up there, inevitably, there is always somebody in the group that asks me if it was a boxing ring, because people don't pay attention. So we'll test your attention span right now and see if a minute and a half from now you wonder if that's a boxing ring you're looking at. This is a better example of these beer barrel posts that are going through the building all the way through it. Again, it's a continuation of basically the same staircase that goes all the way up. Wow, look at that. What is it? I wonder if that's a boxing ring. No! That's the top of the observation deck that we just looked at from down below. So the point of this would have been, you probably in large part had your head brewer up here, kind of off the space, and from here you're looking down, on what's going on in this brewing operation. Now if you also noticed on those pictures of this building, there's this big cupola that was at the top of this building, and you can see the outline of it right there. So that cupola was covered in windows, and they could operate those windows with pulleys remotely. So in the summer months when this building is really hot, kind of like it is right now, you could open up those windows, and this light shaft, this observation shaft, it's also going to vent heat straight up out of the top of the building. The other thing that it's doing is transmitting light all the way down through this observation deck into the lower floors. So these brewery buildings, they didn't have artificial refrigeration yet beyond what they used in the beer production, just regular AC, that didn't exist. So, they're trying to be as effective and efficient as they can be in how they use the space and how they bring in light and how they also cool and heat it. From right here we can get a little sense of the neighborhood, if I can get this open. Or maybe we won't. So there's what it looks like headed down the street. This is one of the most contiguous street walls in over the Rhine. This was not in a designated historic district until a couple of years ago. A project that I worked on for a lot of years. Those right there are a bunch of baby strollers, so if you need one of those, you can swing by here later on. that later. So we're going to head on back now to see a little bit more of the original features of this building. So this was a grain silo. They have exposed it. For a while, this was just kind of somebody's closet when these were apartments. But this has now been opened back up. You see all the original wood, see the original tank here. It is rare that we have this many original features left in any of these breweries. Most of them were stripped of all of it. These are all pulley systems that were part of the original brewing operation. So this is the top of that same tank that we were just looking at down below. If you want to look inside of it, here's what we got going on inside. When people lived in here, this was somebody's walk-in closet. So out the side, we see the Jackson Brewery. And this way, we see downtown Cincinnati. It's out back of this part of the brewery, and you see another one of the extensions that was part of Cliffside in the 1930s. Felsenbrow back there again. Back part of the brewery. Try to make up a little bit for going virtual by taking you places that I would never take you if this was an actual live walking tour. We would never come this far into the building or go that far back for obvious reasons. Although you sign waivers, I don't like to try to kill you. Heading into this space right here, you can see a skylight up there at the top and a few things that should not be skylights, but are functioning as that right now. What you see here is also the base of the smokestack. So it would have been connected to the boiler room over beside it, and you see, where there at the top of the room, this starts to become round and turn into the smokestack. And your skylight up there would have been, doubly for light, as well as this room, probably, near production part of the brewery and really hot. So it's helping vent off and let steam out of the space. And all of this takes us back to where we began. I would love to believe that you can come down here a year from now and walk in and have a beer in this space and it be functional brewery taproom space in a corona-free world with a brand new functioning brewery. But that all remains to be seen. For now, we are going to conclude our toury. I'm not even drunk yet. We're going to conclude our tour of the Mohawk Cliffside Brewery.